We don't live in a perfect world. We know that bad things exist around us, but we can only pray that they do not get to us. Especially if we live alone, there is a constant fear of getting robbed or hurt. Is there anything we can do about it? Yes, but there is very little that we can do about it. Staying away from things we know are bad for us is a good start. This is a chilling story about how one parrot helped to solve a crime. There was something off about that morning. The people in the Nuevo County neighborhood felt that there is something wrong and called up the police. As suspected, there was something indeed very wrong. A couple named Glenna and Martin was shot and found in their home in Michigan. Glenna was injured but survived, while Martin was found dead. It was a safe neighborhood, and the idea of someone breaking in and commit such a crime was strange. Paramedics arrived immediately, and they rushed both of them to the hospital. The police were not able to find any known contacts of the couple, so they called up Martin's ex-wife. She was ready to come on the scene and help the family. While at the hospital, after a few days, Glenna got questioned about the incident, but she seemed to be traumatized to even speak about it. Glenna was at the scene of the crime, and she had no way out apart from speaking about it. The investigators convinced her to come and give a statement about the incident. She was hesitant to talk about it at first but agreed anyway. As she walked into the courtroom, she saw that her pet parrot was present along with her husband's ex-wife. Glenna did not seem too happy with this person's presence. Apart from Glenna, there was one other witness in this room, the pet parrot. Little did she knew how things are about to turn. When she walked into the room, she sat quietly, recalling what happened that day. Before she could speak anything out, the parrot started moving uncontrollably. It was almost as if it was trying to escape from the hands of Christina, Martin's ex-wife. Glenna was called to the witness stand by the judge. She stood there, shivering, not knowing what to say. What went down that day? Why were two people shot inside the house? There was no sign of theft or anything else. Suddenly the parrot looked like it was in much distress and started screaming, "No! Shut up, and please don't shoot." It was exactly the voice of Martin. How was this possible? This parrot was no ordinary one, but an African gray parrot called Bud. Parrots like Bud can mimic a person's voice. Bud is a highly intelligent bird that is sensitive to things around him. It seemed like Bud heard everything that went down that day and attempted to repeat Martin's words. The entire courtroom was shocked. Glenna wasn't ready to speak up yet, they had to consider the words coming out of Bud. It seemed like Martin was in a verbal fight with someone. And he requested the person who shot him not to do so several times. Who could this person be? The first suspect was Glenna. Yes, she was shot as well, but it was a possibility that the police had to consider. Christina was questioned about the stability of her ex-husband's new marriage. She was not too sure, but she knew that Glenna was not doing any good to Martin's life. She knew that Glenna had problems with gambling from before she met Martin. Glenna did not do much to stop her habits after she met Martin. Because of this, she had lost a lot of money for the family as well. But Christina was almost sure that Glenna would not go as far as hurting her husband. The only witness in the scene, Bud, started speaking even more. He tried to portray the entire scene of what went down that day. Most of which included disturbing sentences like, "No. Shut up." These words prove that there was a fight happening between the husband and wife. What they were fighting about is unclear, but the way Bud's voice sounded, it seemed to be pretty heated. Glenna was pressured by the court to speak the truth, and she finally did. Her words shocked the room, and they were not able to believe it. Glenna finally accepted the fact that she murdered her husband in the middle of a heated argument. Why she had a gun with her in the first place is a big question. Glenna broke out into tears and was about to attack Bud. It is because of Bud that the case was reopened and the truth came out faster. Even if Bud had not spoken anything, the court doubted Glenna from the start. But sadly, they did not have much evidence to go on with the case. How did they suspect a wife to be the attacker? They conducted an investigation and saw that much evidence pointed out that Glenna had done it. For many days, Bud went on to reenact the scene of the crime. He would shout, "Get your expletive over here now." It was hard listening to Bud's voice because he demonstrated the fear in Martin's voice. As said before, African gray parrots can mimic the exact voice of another person. People felt the pain of the parrot when he repeatedly enacted the scene of the crime. Glenna never imagined that she would be in jail because of her pet parrot. Christina, who was ready to take in Bud, said that she believes with all her heart that those were Martin's last words. Christina recognized two different voices in the fight, and it always ended with both of them screaming, "Don't shoot." The parrot was not officially used in the court proceedings, but it was enough to make Glenna confess. These parrots are generally native to equatorial Africa. They weigh 400 grams on average. Bud has been with the family for many years and was adored by Martin. Glenna later explained everything in detail to the court. They had been facing some financial problems, and they were unsure how to come out of it. One argument led to another, and Glenna took out her gun to scare Martin. But apparently, Martin was not ready to back down and listen to what Glenna had to say. Glenna had no intention of shooting her husband, but he was aggravating her more. No one was ready to back down, and Glenna wanted to scare her husband into keeping quiet. It was quite obvious at this point that Glenna was not mentally stable and wanted to end everything. The world was crumbling down around her, and guessing from her addiction, she was probably in a lot of debt. Christina thinks that Martin possessed a gun at some point and tried to shoot Glenna. Glenna later clarified that it was a murder-suicide situation. First, she shot her husband 5 times, then, she shot herself. Glenna knew that she is likely to be sentenced to life in prison the moment she opens her mouth. Whoever heard Bud's screams that day got chills down their spines. They felt like they were in the middle of the fight when it happened. Bud enacted around 2 minutes of the entire scene. He repeated this whenever he felt emotionally low. African gray parrots are very sensitive to trauma around them. They can imprint what happened in front of them and repeat it. Bud was not emotionally okay after this incident. Even though he got adopted by Christina, he felt like something was missing. He would try and escape from time to time. During the investigation, the officers came across several bizarre pieces of information about the two. First of all, the neighbors were all suggesting that they talk to the parrot that lives with them. At first, this sounded ridiculous to the officers as a parrot is not a human who is capable of a full-fledged conversation. But the neighbors knew how intelligent the bird was. Many had interacted with the bird before and knew that he would be capable of providing information about what happened. Bud was foul-mouthed, and we are not surprised to hear this considering the company he was with. There were many speculations that the spiteful ex-wife is the one who taught the bird and made him speak those words. But this was later dismissed because of the authenticity of the voice and Glenna's narration of the story. If anything, Christina took in the bird and helped him recover emotionally from the horrific incidents. For the police, this is as equal as a legitimate recording, which can be used as evidence in court. But several requests from the prosecutor to state Bud as official evidence was denied. It seems that Glenna was already under medication from her doctor for depression. On the day of the murder, she was not mentally stable and took up this step. To add to these problems, they were selling their house on the same day to a sheriff's sale. It was more of a foreclosure type of proceeding, and it was clear that Glenna was not happy about it. The parrot also narrated parts of the story where Martin reportedly tried kicking her out of the house. The parrot did not start speaking right away after the incident. It took some time to heal, and under the care of Christina, Bud began talking the truth 2 weeks after the incident. These birds breed well in captivity, but they cannot take the slightest of trauma. Their cognitive capability makes it all the more challenging to take care of them. They can pick up the vibe of the owner and reflects accordingly. The courtroom has never seen such a case before. Both the families were extremely sad that things went down his way. They loved each other when they first met, and it is hard to tell when they started drifting apart. They had several unpaid bills and gambling debts, which led them to a situation like this. The parrot recalls conversations several days before the incident took place. All of them were related to fights and distress in the house. We are happy that Christina was ready to adopt him and take care of him. Since she already knew Martin, she knew how to heal the parrot from his days of trauma. Newaygo County prosecuting attorney Robert Springstead stated that ever since the incident happened, he is interested in studying the nature of African gray parrots. Fascinated by what they are capable of, he wants to see if they could be used for anything in the police department. Martin's mother is thankful that he had a pet that was useful in his case. If not for Bud, it would probably take ages before they found out the truth. It took more than 2 years for any charges to be held against Glenna. Martin's family was fed up that the police were not ready to arrest Glenna as of yet. Since the bird was not considered to be evidence, it took much time before they could put her behind bars. It was not Glenna's first marriage as well. She was married before and had a daughter from that marriage. Her daughter also made several statements, and she accused her mother of having a foul mouth. It was common for the couple to trash talk to each other. Martin's family members say that Glenna did not do this in the heat of the moment. She had jokingly mentioned wanting him dead soon or killing him when the time is right. Adding to their money problems, Martin had met with an accident earlier that year and required special treatment for his brain. Medical bills kept piling up, and they started running out of options to solve their problems. Did you know that this is not the first time an African gray parrot spilled the beans about a murder? Another murder was solved in the year 1993 after a parrot revealed the truth about a murder that took place in front of his eyes. Like Bud, he revealed it after recovering emotionally. Weeks after the incident, the parrot started recalling the incident and revealed the name of the person who had committed murder. They had accused the wrong person, and thankfully, this bird helped an innocent man come out of this situation. Did you ever imagine that a bird could be a witness to a murder? Neither did we. If anyone you know is suffering in their relationship, please help them see a therapist. Fights at home are common, but should not lead to drastic events like murder. Help at the right time can avoid so many harsh decisions. We need to remember that we are not alone, and help is always around the corner. We truly hope Bud is recovered fully from this incident and erased this memory from his mind.